Welcome to the Mama Making Podcast, a space for moms figuring it out in real time, at home, at work, and everywhere in between. Hosted by me, Jessica Lamb, this show is here to help you feel a little less alone in the mess and magic of motherhood. Each week brings a mix of solo reflections, expert interviews, and real stories from moms leaning into themselves, whether that's into parenting, into entrepreneurship, or just surviving the day. Because there's no one way to do motherhood, and you don't have to do it alone. If that sounds like your kind of vibe, make sure to follow the show, share it with a friend, and keep showing up, exactly as you are. This episode of the Mama Making Podcast is sponsored by Collabs Creative. If you're a mom building a business and trying to do it without a roadmap, you're so not alone. That's exactly why I started Collabs Creative, to help founders like you tell your story, grow your brand, and actually connect with the people you're meant to serve. From social media strategy to full-on content creation, we do grassroots marketing that feels real, because it is. If you're ready to stop throwing things at the wall to see what sticks and start showing up like the founder you already are, head to collabscreative.com and let's start building something good. Now let's get on to the episode. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Mama Making Podcast. I'm Jessica. If you're new here, welcome. If you're not new, then welcome back. Today, I am so excited to have Georgia Kastaris on. Georgia is the founder of Expecting Together, a prenatal education and social club launching in Chicago this fall. This program combines expert-led in-person education and tech-enabled resources, as well as peer support, all inspired by the community-based care models she experienced while being pregnant in Europe. Welcome, Georgia. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. So excited to be here and chatting with you today.
Yeah, so tell me a little bit more about you, who you are, where you're from, whatever you're comfortable sharing.
Yeah, absolutely. So your intro was great, but I am Georgia. I am coming and talking to you today from London. But I am very much American. I call Chicago home, actually, but moved abroad about 5 years ago, both for an opportunity. I've been previously a principal product manager at Amazon for 7 years. It was a bit because I had an opportunity to move abroad with the company, and a bit because my boyfriend at the time was living here. So I got a little bit of personal and professional reason to move abroad, and it was always a goal of mine to leave the US and try something different for a while. And then while I've been here the last 5 years, I started a family, had my daughter, and now my son most recently, just 12 weeks ago. So yeah, I got to experience a different healthcare system, had been working for an American company, but still very different to move abroad and have that experience, and got to see a really different model in how families and moms and babies are supported outside of the US.
Yeah, I am so fascinated by just the European way of caring for families. What did that look like for you, and how was it different from what you know of here in the States?
Yeah, definitely. So a couple things, I just think society is much more accommodating to little things. Like, for instance, I live in London. We do not have a car, but every bus is set up so that a mom, dad, parent, babysitter can bring a stroller straight onto the bus and lock it in a designated area that is just for kids' baby strollers. The only thing that would take priority would be someone with a wheelchair. I think it's such a simple example of how everything in society is kind of thinking about how do we better support families, where when I come back to the US, I'm like, ugh, what am I going to do with my stroller? How do I take these things here and there? I got a year of maternity leave for both of my children, which it doesn't mean that I was fully paid for that time, but my job was protected. So if you want to say I'm staying home with my kid and I will take a small financial hit to make that happen, it is a mom's choice, which is, I think, amazing. And then I guess in contrast, and what inspired me to start Expecting Together is I think there's a way bigger focus on entering this new stage of life with a community and people around you. So this idea of prenatal social clubs being joined by parents who are due within weeks of you and live physically close to you to learn together, grow together, get to know each other is really common here in the UK. I would say everyone in my husband and I's kind of network professionally and personally does this, but something that is really common in the Scandinavian countries, here in the UK, and a huge gap that I think is missing in the US.
Yeah, and I think we're starting to talk more about things that we would like to emulate here in the States. But even as a small example of a stroller section on the buses is incredible. It's just showing that family first identity of the country. What helped you kind of take the leap to say, I love all of these things about what I'm receiving and I want to create something for prenatal moms? What was the starting point to all of it?
Yeah, so like my past, I am like a business person and a tech person, right? So I will have full disclosure that like medically, actually, I did start my career in the healthcare consulting industry, like helping hospitals and financial systems in the US, but like I'm not a clinician. So like the prenatal education space is not necessarily my like forte. But I came home after having this experience here, which like could have been extremely isolating, right? Like my husband and I, he's not British either. He's actually Italian. So like we didn't have a massive network here. And I was like, I think a lot of my friends and family were worried about me. Like, you're having a baby 3,000 miles away from home. And what I think could have been super isolating ended up being like really connected, having this group of families around us. And when I came home and talked to my friends about it in the US, they were like, I just would have loved something like that. Like, maternity leave was such a lonely time for me. It's very circumstantial in the US if you happen to have like a friend or a sister or someone that kind of walks through that next threshold moment of becoming a parent at the same time. I think that we shouldn't have it be circumstantial. Like there are technology options and things we can do to like actually bring people together. And so saw that, to answer your question, I went out and I'm like, I think there's something here. And I went out and interviewed like 300 new and expecting parents to be like, is this the gap? Like, what are you feeling? And the big trends that came out were like isolation, loneliness, lack of preparedness. A lot of dads told me like everything felt like it was about mom and baby, which it should be, but like I wish that I had some tools and some education too. So we're very partner inclusive, but the gap was massive. Like, it just was very clear there was something here and something that I was really excited to build.
Yeah. And I think it's so interesting that everything is based around pregnancy, like the milestones, and there's like the Facebook groups of like your expected due date or due month. And there's not a lot of support continuing through that of, is this normal? What is happening? And I think there's definitely a gap there for us in the States for having support like that.
Definitely. And I think like to your point about the Facebook groups, when I talked to parents, they said the places they found the support were like online groups. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think that there are great places, especially if you have like kind of an interest, something like kind of niche. It's like you're not going to find someone ever, if your baby has a problem, you have a problem as a pregnant mom. Like, the internet's great, but I think a lot of what you said is like moms, dads just want to know, like, is this normal? And being able to ask people that are like you, going through it with you, is actually way more validating than like a stranger on the internet. For sure.
Yeah. And I think there's like barriers. I love a good Facebook group, but I think there's barriers to it as well. Like, you can only go so far with those groups. So I think it's interesting. So I have one child and he's just turning 3. So started school this fall, and it like opens up a whole different world of parent connections and like different friends that are like your kids' friends' parents, and then you can relate in that way. But prior to that, it's really just like whoever you're around. So like you said, maybe you're lucky and have a friend or a sibling or someone in your sphere who is also going through it with you. But a lot of times it's so isolating to be going through this like huge monumental change and to be doing it essentially alone.
Definitely. And I think like, parents want to give advice, and I'm going to be the first to say, like, I have 2 kids under 2. And so I'm like back to back, but I have friends asking me questions and advice. And I'm like, I know we went through that, but it was a year ago. And I already kind of forgot exactly how we dealt with it, because I think our brains are a little bit programmed to just forget, like, you're sleep deprived, things are crazy. Where when you are truly in lockstep with people going through it, there's a type of support and type of kind of validation for like, I feel overwhelmed, or it's so joyful. Like, you get to share both the hard moments and the joyful moments with people going through it together. And that is really what we're focused on, building for people before your kid is 3. You need it way before then,
Yeah. Yeah. It's so interesting. I think, like you said, we forget so much about parenthood and like the early years for sure. I was just joking with someone, like, I barely remember the first year. And sometimes I'll have to be like, when did he start walking? Like, let me go back in my Google photos to remember like
the photos are like a great, you don't really need like an official baby book, because you're like, oh, okay, we got a video of that. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that's amazing to start. I would love to hear more about the families that you interviewed and some of these like same stories of what they were missing, what they were looking for. I imagine a lot of it is like connection and, like you said, validation. But was there anything that really stuck out to you from all the families and parents that you talked to?
Yeah. So I will say that like we are building a very like in real life first product here, kind of this like in real life cohorts of parents going through this, but we have ideas about how, technology can continue to help and scale with them. So with that being said, like all the interview data, it's been fun to like run analysis and use AI to be like, what are the trends in the data? And overwhelmingly, Jessica, the one word that I would say of those 300 parents, like in surveys and interviews, that just kept coming up over and over and over again, and even in my little sentiment analysis will tell you lonely, isolated. Of course, like some concepts around, like for moms, it's like it's a painful time. Like physically, it's very physically hard, obviously, like that immediate postpartum experience, but isolation and loneliness just over and over and over again. This is the most universal experience. Having a child, I mean, in order to continue procreating as a people, it should be the most universal thing that we all can understand, like after you go through it or if you're going through it with people. And yet all of these parents, I would say 90+%, one of the three words they just used to describe their for sure postpartum period was isolation and loneliness.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so interesting. Yeah, I think, like you said, most people have done it or are doing it, but it's still such an isolating experience because everyone is doing it so differently. As an example, my sister has 4 kids. And
Wow.
so I would be like, is this normal? What's happening? And she would give me her advice of like what she did. But we're so different people and we're such different parents and like our priorities are different. So a suggestion from like a seasoned parent is still just a suggestion. It's hard to still make that connection and relate to people who aren't literally going through it at the same time.
Definitely. And I would say that like some of it too, like the internet or friends or family, they can like tell you about, this is such a kind of basic example, but one of the women in my prenatal social club, like we went and took a walk one day and I was like, I can't get anything done. I think we were kind of at that stage where like crawling was starting, when they start to get mobile. And I was like, but all of the experts are saying like no screen time. She's like, Georgia, if you need to turn on Miss Rachel for 10 minutes so you can like make dinner, like then do that. Like don't feel guilty. And her saying that was more validating than like any person on the internet or any like even people that have 5-year-olds. Cause I'm like, yeah, but did you really do that? But our kids were, 3 weeks apart. And I'm like, well, you're making me feel way better that like, we're in it together. You're going to do it with your kid. It's going to be okay. And like being able to feed myself and my family. And so turning on Miss Rachel for 10 minutes is going to be a way smarter choice than just like starving or being in chaos. And so it's those validation pieces that like, no matter how awesome technology gets, or like, you're never going to get that from anyone besides someone who's like in it with you.
Yeah. I'd love to talk a little bit more about how this is kind of different from what we are seeing currently. How does the expecting together model work? What does it all look like? And then how is it different from like we're talking about the online forums or like the due date apps and things like that?
Yeah, definitely. So I'd say we're kind of competing with those spaces, right? Like the Reddit groups, the Facebook groups, the apps, and a bit with your traditional hospital classes. So, I think it's around the 20-week appointment in the US where your OB-GYN or like midwife, nurse practitioner, whoever you're seeing for that appointment is going to start recommending like just some education. Like you want to walk into a labor and delivery room with some awareness of what's going on, being prepared. Also, like, if you've never held a kid or changed a diaper, maybe you should do those things. So hospitals offer those. What I heard a lot from parents in these interviews and like through research and understanding the way it works in the US is that those are very one-off classes. You pick and choose what you like, you show up, you probably go through a PowerPoint in like the basement of a hospital. It's a bit sterile. Do your thing and walk out. One of the saddest anecdotes I heard was like from a mom who was like, we were in this room and I thought we'd like get to know people. And there was a lunch break and my husband and I just like went by ourselves. Like we didn't even like eat lunch with anyone. I was like, oh, that's really, it's like we're going through it together. We might as well build a friendship.
Yeah.
So that's an offering on the hospital side, right? Which I think is probably what most people do. Then the other side is the digital side where it's like you join a due date group and there's so much anonymity there around. Like you can ask a question and probably with the power of the internet, you are going to get good answers because there's so many people answering them. But a stranger telling you like what's best for them and their kid, is that always going to resonate or make the most sense for you? who is that person? You know, to your point, subjectivity. Do they have 4 kids? Is that the same approach that I'm going to take? So what we're trying to do is super, super high quality education. So to the caliber you would get at a hospital. And to that point, like I've written the curriculum for our sessions with a board certified nurse practitioner. And, you know, we validated that through a pilot, and parents said they got a ton of value and trusted that a lot. And then community. Our classes are 10 hours spread over like 4 weeks. So it's like 2.5 hours per session. 75% of that is like truly education on all the topics, preparing for labor, labor delivery, postpartum, bringing a baby home. But like 25% just like getting to know the people in your cohort. Activities, talking. We actually subsidize them to like go out to a bar. Pregnant women can't drink, of course, but like go and be social and get to know each other. And those are things that I'm not seeing anywhere in the US today.
Yeah, I think that link between, well, one, I think it's smart to, on the business side, to acknowledge what's already out there. And then I think the blend of putting it together is going to be a game changer because, like we were saying, you can only get so far out of the Facebook groups or the due date groups. And then, like you said, the hospital ones are like a lecture. You just sit through a lecture and like that's kind of it. So it sounds like you're really bridging both sides and opportunities together to not only provide that education that's like good need to know information for expectant parents, but then also merging that like social club with it as well.
Definitely. And one thing that I want to call out is that for every session that we have, right? Labor, delivery, the bringing home a baby, even we do talk a lot about family dynamic changes, mental, emotional changes. We have specific guidance for dads and partners. So we are like give a curriculum book and we are bringing dads into this conversation. We're giving them tactical tools. And, you know, I am proud to say this is not just a mom's group. We talk about moms needing support, or like we talk, you know, postpartum depression. I know you've had a lot of people on your show come and talk about like the mental and emotional challenges that come with this change in life. And I think we should be focused on it for women, but who's supporting them? Like get dads in the conversation, teach dads how to support, teach dads how to like see the signs of like, hey, maybe this is past the baby blues. Maybe there's something else going on. Maybe I can call her provider and ask some questions. We really feel strongly about dads being a part of this, and dads making a new network too with other dads. Like men, let's open the conversations. We actually give them access to a chat group with just the partners in their cohort. So they have a safe place to talk. The moms have a safe place to talk. And then all 20-ish of them with their facilitator will have a chat too. And it's those infrastructure things that I think take us way beyond what you're going to get in a hospital and even those Facebook groups, because it's much smaller, much more intimate.
Yeah. And I love that. I think not a lot of people acknowledge the dads are going through it too. Yeah. Obviously, there's so much happening with mom, and she's carrying like the physical and maybe emotional brunt of pregnancy. But I remember specifically my husband being like, it's such a helpless feeling to like watch your wife go through pregnancy and sickness and then preparing for birth and delivery and postpartum. Like you want to help, but there's not really a lot you can do. And so I think that's really great to acknowledge the dads are going through it too, just in a different way. And then to be able to have that same relational thing that us moms have of like, is this normal? Who else is experiencing this? And be able to kind of like bounce that back and forth with other spouses or
Definitely.
partners.
And I will say, like, I'm going to be the first to tell you, I think it's going to be mom that finds my group, signs up for the group, but I am so filled with joy about the feedback that the dads gave me. And some of that's public. Like go look us up on our Google reviews. You'll see it's like many men that have like felt strongly enough to like come write a review after the pilot. But dads were like, this was so awesome to have a space where I could ask questions. The doctor's appointments are super rushed. It's really about mom's health and baby's health. But this was a place that I could come in and, exactly to your point, like maybe I don't need to feel helpless. Like even in circumstances like if your wife's exclusively breastfeeding, I've heard that over and over, like literally what can I do? And we're like, you can protect that newborn baby bubble. You can eat, you feed, you can like take care of certain things around the house. Do, you know, hand your wife that baby, be ready, be on birth duty. And those are things that you've never gone through it before. We can't even blame the dads. How would they know? Let's teach them and show them. And we're really, really excited.
Yeah. So I'd like to clarify, who is this app for? We've obviously said moms and parents, but I think naturally people are like, oh, it's for first-time parents. But I imagine there's a lot of opportunity for recurring parents, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. So like, to be honest, we are saying like, we are expecting the lion's share of people coming through would be first time parents, but we are absolutely not closing the door to second time parents or third time. And what we're hearing is actually a lot of COVID parents are like, I never got to do this the first time around. I actually, now I'm having my second after a COVID baby. I would love the opportunity to like be in a learning environment, being in a community. So second time parents, third time parents, you absolutely are welcome. And we're thinking about even how we could extend some of our education to tailor to them a little bit. Like, how do you deal with a toddler and a newborn? It's a lot. So how could we help them? But first time parents, right now, we are launching this first product, like these in-person cohorts in Chicago as a blueprint city is what we're calling it. We have a lot of relationships there. We ran our pilot there. We feel super enthusiastic about the interest there. We're proving out the concept throughout the next, I'd say 6 to 8 months. And then the vision is that every major city in the US has a chapter of Expecting Together, and that we are able to support parents at many stages in their journey. Like, we're starting with this prenatal product, but if we can earn your trust here, we think, why can't you just keep coming back to us for community and education as your kid grows?
Yeah, I love that. And I think with the second, third time parents, there's a whole other slew of things that you don't know that's coming or what to expect. So being able to kind of relate with other parents, I'm sure, is super helpful.
Totally.
So I'd like to chat a little bit about what it has looked like pulling all of this together while still being a mom and pregnant as well, most recently. What has it looked like to raise 2 kids, be pregnant, do all the things while building this company?
Yeah. So I'll give the caveat that my son is here with our nanny today, and you might hear him crying. I can hear him. Maybe you don't hear him through the camera. So so to your point, I guess, to give a quick, I have 2 under 2 kids, 17 months apart, but my experience having my daughter is what really made me say there's something here. Let's do this. And I think you kind of have to strike when the iron's hot, when you have the passion around something, like, let's do it. So I'm super lucky to have a really supportive husband who went through this with me, and he got value, and he's like, I can't believe this doesn't exist in the US. Like, let's do it. Let's go. So I've got great support there. But just like by chance, to be completely honest, it took us a while to get pregnant with my first. So we weren't thinking that things would happen so quickly with my second. I started putting my head down, like focusing on the business, and then found out I was pregnant again, and had the opportunity to kind of like go through this again, be pregnant. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to slow down. I felt pretty good like that second pregnancy. And I was like, let's try, let's see how much we can get done. So came to Chicago, did the pilot. I was pregnant with the pilot couple. So it's kind of fun. Like, they had all their babies and I did too. And I'm actually like, I'll be in Chicago and we're going to have like an event with all of us and our babies again. And I'm going to bring mine too, because my baby was a part of that. But I'm super, super like motivated by this cause. And I think it's being a mom and going through this process and seeing how important community is firsthand. Like, I'm a founder that is living this product like firsthand. Like, I know what it's like to feel isolated. I had my kids very far away from home in London. So having community around me that wasn't my family or friends that I've had for ages was so important to me. And I think a lot of Americans can like understand that. They move for jobs, they move for school. You find yourself having kids far from families. I'm really like living it makes me so much more enthusiastic about delivering on it and saying like, we got to do this now. And the second thing is like, this is very random, but in business school, I don't know if you ever heard of like Pomodoro time. It's like setting the 20 minutes to be like, I'm going to get as much done in these 20 minutes. Like, my phone goes off. I'm not distracted at all. And I think if there's any like tactical advice I can give or like encouragement to moms that are trying to like build businesses or do other things, it's like your whole life becomes Pomodoro time. It's like, the kid is sleeping. I've got 30 minutes, go, go, go. And I actually work really well like that. It's working out for me to just be like, you can't be distracted. You can't overthink, get it done now. And somehow over the course of the last year, building this, having one, and then being pregnant and now having 2, it's working for me, but my brain might be a crazy place. So I don't know if it would work for everyone.
Yeah, I think what's cool is that you are living the product and we're able to, I have to imagine it's some kind like the universe working the way it needed to have you be part of this pilot while it was happening to like prove the product. And I think like no one's going to sell your product like you are, and what's better than firsthand experience.
Definitely. And I think it has built an empathy muscle in me that like my first daughter was so colicky. She was a really, really, really tough baby. And I think that I was like, wow, this is so much harder than anyone told me that would ever be. You see people on Instagram just being like, we are elated. It is the best thing ever. And it is. Like, my children have changed my life for such the better. But I feel that going through it has given me empathy to just be like, yeah, and if it's not perfect and rosy and you're living your best life, like that's okay too. And I think I want our groups to like tell people like it's okay, it's normal. Like it is normal to feel the highest highs and sometimes the lowest lows. And like you're going to hear that from the people going through it with you. And there's, like I said, nothing more validating than that.
Yeah, for sure. And I think to the business things, I'm finding that I am speaking with a lot more moms who started a business after having kids. And I think that there is something to like, we're all just figuring out what works best for us and how we can schedule our days or make it work. And there definitely is trade-offs to it. So yeah, I think that the trade-offs are different for everybody. So for me, I have a very set schedule of what my day can look like and my working hours and all of that. Whereas some moms are like, I'm up at 3 a.m. starting to work, and that's just not me. And so I think so many people are like figuring out what works best for them, the 20-minute set time frame to just go. I think everyone is just kind of winging it, and I'm sure that also comes through in your parent groups of like everyone's doing it differently. We're all just figuring out what works best for us.
Totally. And I will say with all of that, and like like you're building something too, you have children, like let's also, I think the pandemic helped a lot to just like normalize, like there are many times there are people that are interested in investing in my business as I'm thinking about scaling. I took a call with an investor yesterday with my son in the carrier. And I'm like, listen, like I would like to talk to you. I don't want to cancel this meeting. I am on my own today, and this is the brand. If you're interested in me and if you're interested in this is what it's about. It's tough, but like, you know, I think the pandemic was a tough, I moved here during the pandemic. It was really tough for me to like move to a new country again, be isolated, not have support. But there were some nice things I think for moms too that were like, we can get a lot done. Like don't discredit what can happen if your kids are here crying or, you know, you can get it done. It's going to look different to everyone. No judgment about how you do it, but it is possible if you want to give it a try.
Yeah. And I think authenticity is a huge pillar of just life now. And that as much as we would love to have every day be perfect as parents, it's never going to be. And so I think a lot of moms feel pressure to show up to their careers as their job title and not as mom. But I think everyone is starting to kind of break down those barriers of like, I have a meeting with an investor, I've got the baby, this just is what it is. And I think that continues to push the narrative that moms can do everything, but it just looks different for everyone.
Absolutely. I'm gonna, as like validation for that, as like an employer too, I'm hiring a lot of people to help me scale this business, both on like kind of a corporate side. So I think like marketing, but also clinicians, right? Like nurses, nurse practitioners. I've got a whole staff, and like my all-star is the person who's helping with marketing, and she is a mom of 3. And she, you know, she's got some kids in school. She's got one home with her, but like, you know, I don't dictate when she works and how she works, but she's killing it. She's in Chicago and I'm here, so there's something about the time zone difference and the fact that I'm like flexible work. So we're pinging each other at weird hours, that like it works, but never underestimate what a mom can get done. I mean, that is what I've learned for sure. And I think as I scale this company, I'm excited to bring parents on. I think parents will have the best perspective. And because I can understand, like, I'm not going to sell them short because it's like, you got to go pick up your kid or your child's sick. Like, get it done when you can. Do what you got to do. I get it, but I really believe that there's a lot of hustle for people that are building families while they're doing other stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if anything, parenthood has taught me how to prioritize differently and maybe more efficiently. Like I've only got X amount of time to get this done, so let's get to it. And I think that that's like a pressure you don't know until you've had a kid.
Totally. It is that thing. It's like, if you only got 30 minutes, you're going to get it done. And you'll like, for me, I'm surprising myself at how much I can get done that I used to maybe be like, this will take 4 hours, or, maybe I'm actually just calling myself out that I was like a bit lazy before, or not lazy. I won't say lazy, just not as efficient as I could be. And now I'm like in hyperdrive.
Yeah, that's so funny. So what can people expect from Expecting Together in the coming months? This episode will be out in the fall. What do you have coming up?
Yeah, so we officially launched basically this week, meaning that we've got a website. Check us out, expectingtogether.com, if you are expecting. The way that it works is you'd come in, you could learn a lot about what we're building that I'm sharing here today, but we are matching cohorts by due date and zip code. So you'll tell us kind of where you live and when you're expecting to have a baby. And then we allow you to choose the cohort. Like, we recommend the one that's best for you. In a perfect setting, you're going to be due within 5 weeks of all the other couples in your cohort. And as best we can, we're going to try to have those meetups like close to you in your neighborhood. So those are starting in November, like the actual cohort. So if you are due December, January, February, we would even take for these first November ones, like early March is good, but we've got cohorts running throughout 2026. So I think people are now finding out, they're due with those maybe April, May, June babies, but like, come on, grab a spot. For our pilot, we had more interest than we had spots. I had to waitlist people and was so sad to turn people away. So like, we're building up capacity now to have communities all over the city of Chicago that can accommodate all these due dates that are coming up.
Sorry, my dog was barking and I had to move her.
I love a dog, a baby, like anyone that
yes. So tell us more where people can find you. You mentioned the website, but where can people find you? Website, social media, all the stuff.
Definitely. So expectingtogether.com is the website to actually register, find like all the details, but we also have a strong presence on LinkedIn. Expecting Together is the name of the company. And then on Instagram at expecting.together. We have a Facebook page too. So any of those places, you'll see kind of what's up and coming, learn more about the business. We are majorly active on all those channels.
Awesome. Anything else about Expecting Together that you'd like to share? No,
just so excited. Kind of my DMs are open too. So we are not only open to parents, but we're looking for places to house our cohorts and events. So if you know anywhere that would just be the perfect fit in your neighborhood, also looking for, clinical connections, like if you're a doctor or a nurse and in this space and think this would be great for your patients, reach out. We're like so starting the conversations and just building our presence in Chicago. So looking forward to talking to any and everyone who's like in the parenting space or community space or sees the value that this can bring. And one final thing that we are so excited about for any listeners of the Mama Making podcast, we are going to share a little discount code as we're coming to market. So if you are interested, want to join one of our cohorts, we have $100 off for anyone that's listening today, and Launch 100 is that discount code. So looking forward to sharing that and seeing your listeners in our cohort soon.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much. We'll put that in the show notes for everyone to check out. Well, I'm so excited to see this coming to Chicago and then hopefully more cities soon enough. But this has been incredible. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Jessica. Loved the opportunity. Loved sharing all of our chat today. And thanks for having me.
That's it for today's episode of the Mama Making podcast. If this conversation resonated with you, share it with a friend, leave a review, or follow us on social media. We love hearing what's landing for you. And most importantly, keep making your way through. You're never in this alone. Thanks for being here, and we'll see you next time.